We're out here in the lovely Pro Dirt Adventure on the outskirts of Pune city to check out what has become India's first production level road legal dual sport Japanese motorcycle under 250cc, presenting the new KLX 230 from Kawasaki. This of course is a street legal motorcycle. It's got the headlights, the turn indicators, dash, and of course this one has a sari guard and some pillion foot pegs as well. So that's pretty interesting for a dirt motorcycle, dual sport. You can ride this in the city and you can go hunting your adventurous trails as well on this kind of motorcycle. So that's what this bike is all about. This of course is not the standard model. This is the motorcycle that is kitted out with all the optional accessories, from the knuckle guards that you see out here. Then you have the engine crash guard, you have a skid plate which is plastic, which is kind of strange, and then you also have a panel to protect the chassis from your feet kind of scratching that around. And of course this is not the standard seat. The standard seat height of this motorcycle is quite tall. It stands at around 880 mm, but this lowered seat height brings it down, that figure down by 14 mm. And of course you do get the carriage rack out back here as well. So if you're looking for the price of this motorcycle, we don't have that for you right now because it hasn't been really revealed to us. And the company say that they are going to launch this motorcycle properly somewhere around the first week of December. If we do our maths correctly, that is around when IBW is going to happen. So this motorcycle comes to us as a CKD unit, and it's not a CBU, a complete CBU import like the competition version, spec version of this motorcycle, which is the KLX 230 RS, which is already launched. Now that motorcycle is a steep 5 lakh plus rupees ex showroom. This one, well, of course this comes as a CKD. It's not going to be as costly, but if you're expecting something, expecting the price to be around the 2 lakh margin, well, you might be kind of disappointed, because we picture this motorcycle to be priced around 3.5 lakhs actually on road. Now let's see how that pans out. But as of now, we have a short while to experience what this motorcycle has to offer. Just 3 motorcycles, around 20 journos, and just 1 day, so really short on time. That's why we're really lucky to have this kind of scenario where we are alone with the motorcycle. That's why we picked this one out here today to actually start off this video. So let's see what this motorcycle has to offer finally. Alright, so the KLX 230 is powered by a single cylinder 233cc air-cooled motor, and of course the power figures of 18 PS and little over 18 Nm of torque seem a bit modest on paper. But then again, in these kind of certain situations when you're riding off-road, in your trails, well, the power seems very adequate because of the weight of this motorcycle. It's so easy to balance and shift around. Now this motorcycle that we're on has the flatter handlebar with the risers. It is a lot better than the standard one. But then again, even the standard model that we've been riding along the course of this day, well, it is really light and nimble. And of course, this is one of the first motorcycles of its kind to get dual channel ABS, and it can be switched off completely. So that's a really cool thing. As far as the ground clearance goes, you have around 265 mm to play with. And as far as your suspension travel goes, you have 240 mm of travel on the fork up front, the Showa fork, and your Unitrack monoshock at the rear, you have around 250 mm of travel. So that is more than sufficient for you to really go attack your trails with ferocity and have a real blast in these kind of outdoor environments. But then again, this is also a dual purpose motorcycle. Now it is supposed to be pretty city friendly as well. Now the tank of course is really tiny. It's just like 7.6 liters, and the company are claiming that you can take this motorcycle over 200 kilometers. So that is kind of dicey, but we'll have to figure out if that is really true once we actually have this motorcycle out on the road. You have all the headlight, the indicators. You will have a small bracket up front over here which you can mount your number plate, and the rear you get the same works, which makes it all street legal. Sari guard, as you can see, on a dirt bike. Never thought the day would come, but yes, we have arrived, ladies and gentlemen. Now we barely had any time to spend with the KLX 230 on our own on this outing, and were just ushered through 3 supervised courses with barely any time to really run the bike how we saw fit. But for what it's worth, the KLX 230 did feel nimble and light through what we'd subjected it out here today. It didn't feel to be lacking any real power, but in all honesty, the conditions weren't overly challenging. There was also this section which was like a tight short trail which was complete with berms and a small jump and everything, where I thought the KLX 230 did quite well. See where you want to go, point the bike in that direction, and this bike will get you there in a jiffy. There was also the section which was covered with small loose stones, where I did wish that the KLX 230 came with the proper knobby tires like that of the competition spec RS version, because with the dual purpose MRF treads on this bike, especially the front, well, it just lost traction practically everywhere. The ride today made me think of a good reason as to why a bike like this makes sense, and another as to why it actually doesn't. Now consider this. The KLX 230 feels like a capable machine given its lovely perimeter frame, the simple SO8C 2-valve engine with a punchy low and mid-range, the 21-inch spoke wheel setup, the Showa suspension and everything. It's really easy to get used to riding this bike as well. Now if you're new to the entire off-road riding scenario and want to get into it, yes, the KLX 230 does make sense, even though it's slightly more on the expensive side of things. You can ride this bike on road because, well, it has all the bits required necessary to be deemed so, including some app and connectivity features which some nowadays deem a necessity. Better still is that you can hit the trails on your practice runs too and practice your postures, your body positioning, etc., and learn the ropes thoroughly and properly. That's all well and good, right? Well, this bike is rather incomplete in a way, because although this is the kind of bike that you can ride yourself to the actual competition if you had to, you'd have to remove all the road legal bits on there and swap out these tires for better ones before you actually get to the starting line, which is kind of a costly and time consuming affair. Now the differences in the competition spec KLX 230 RS and this KLX 230 lie in the suspension travel, the seat height, and some bits that alter the rider geometry, the road legal bits on there obviously, and according to the company spec sheet, well, the competition bikes makes a little more power too. Then there's always the question about spares and after-sales service. Now, although our friends at Big Rock Dirt Park Bangalore and the Product Adventure Pune, who have owned a couple of these KLX 230 RS bikes for a while now, tell us that these Kawasaki's have engines that are pretty much bulletproof, still, I'd like to think that an owner of a bike like this would feel a lot more at ease the closer they are in proximity to some Kawasaki shutters. You know, in case something goes wrong with the bike or some new parts are required. And there's just 48 touch points that Kawasaki have set up in the country currently. So a bike like this does have its pros and cons. Alright, now to sum things up out here with the Kawasaki KLX 230, it is a very fun, exciting and very capable machine. Okay, now the pricing of this motorcycle is really going to make or break it, and considering the opposition that this one is going to face in the form of the Hero X-Pulse, well, the 200cc motorcycle, the 4-valve edition, because they are quite similar in terms of power, but then in terms of capability, yes, this motorcycle is very capable as well, but pricing is going to make or break it, and we don't see it coming really cheap. Being brought up to India via the CKD route, it's not going to be all that cheap, and we expect a price tag of around 3 to 3.5 lakhs on road. Alright, so what do you think about the KLX 230 from Kawasaki? Do let us know in the comments. Would you be interested in shelling out that much money, what we actually perceive it to be priced at? Because, yep, the prices are going to be revealed later this December in the first week. We presume it's going to be at IBW, but let's see. Would you be willing to spend in excess of 3 lakh rupees for the Kawasaki KLX 230? Do let us know in the comments.